I had incredibly dramatic results from this Whole30 experiment. My energy, my sleep, my performance, my recovery in the gym, that was the main motivator for me, was I wanted to know if I could perform in the gym better. And all of that changed. But what it highlighted for me, and I know that you're going to understand this immediately, it highlighted for me the ways that I was using food like I used to use drugs. And if you had asked me what my relationship with food was, I would have said like, oh, it's great. I was the healthy girl at my office. I ate really well. But I had come to realize that my automatic reach when I was lonely or anxious or trying to avoid my feelings was to reach for food. And the Whole30 highlighted that, and it sort of taught me other ways to navigate stress and difficult emotions, and it helped me to sit with my feelings. It was the first time in my life that I had gotten off the scale and out of the mirror. I was, like most young women, pretty body conscious. So it was just this dramatic transformation that I felt like really stuck with me. And my co-founder had an equally dramatic transformation just in other areas of his life. And so I thought, I want to write about this on my blog. And so I wrote about it on my little CrossFit training blog in July 2009. And I said, does anyone want to do it? And a bunch of people said, yeah, we would try that. So I'll just say when two people have incredible results from a dietary experiment, you think, yeah, that's really interesting. When 100 people come back with equally stunning, pretty similar results, that was the moment where I thought, oh, I have something here. This is something.
Yeah. With kind of reframing your relationship with food, how did that unfold? Was it just that you would have an emotion and you would be like, I want peanut M&Ms, whatever. I'll use the one that I would use. Peanut M&Ms, but you can't eat them. And so then you're going, well, why do I want them in the first place? Or, unpack that for me.
It was, in the moment, it was just, I am uncomfortable. And then I'd just go into the pantry. It wasn't necessarily anything specific. And it wasn't even that I was eating nothing but peanut M&Ms and Doritos. It was the fact that with any discomfort, my immediate reaction was to distract myself. And food is the fastest, easiest, most societally acceptable distraction. And so not being able to reach for that thing and thinking to myself, well, like a carrot's not going to cut this. Why isn't a carrot going to cut this? Why wouldn't a carrot with guacamole cut this? Made me realize, okay, what am I experiencing? And I'm still in therapy at the time. I've been in therapy all along. And so talking to my therapist about this discomfort and how do I sit with my feelings? And I would always try to analyze them in my head. I want to name it. I want to identify it. And instead we were focusing on just sitting with it and allowing it to exist. And maybe where do you feel it in your body? All of these things were happening at the same time. And it was almost as if I couldn't really understand the concepts my therapist was providing until the thing that I had been leaning on so hard was gone. And then I didn't have a choice.
That forced you to experience it beyond just the intellectual.
Yeah.
It's like you got thrust in it and, oh, now I feel it. Not just this this big concept I'm trying to understand. It's like, oh, this is it.
Yes. I mean, I always wanted to intellectualize it. I always wanted to explain it. I lived very much in my head and I was very disconnected from my body for a number of reasons. The trauma and the drugs and all of the influences that tell women especially that we can't trust our own bodies. And so one of the things with the Whole30 is it actually helped me reconnect with my body. I was learning to trust my hunger signals and my fullness signals. And so all of this was happening out of this 30-day experiment where I thought, oh, maybe I'll just recover faster from the gym. It was so unexpected and so powerful. And that's why I wanted to share it.
Yeah. So a lot of people tried along with you. They have equally dramatic results. And then how did it unfold from there? As I understand it, a CrossFit gym, didn't they ask you to come down and be like, would you teach us how to do this? And then what happened then?
Yeah. So I was, again, super involved with CrossFit at the time. There's a CrossFit gym down in Virginia. The owner reached out and said, hey, can we have you come down? Could you come down and do a seminar on the Whole30? And we were like, okay, I guess we can. We drove down. We had people sit in these cold metal folding chairs for about 6 hours. And I don't think we charged anything. And we just went down and talked about the Whole30. And we were so lucky at the time because CrossFit was so incredibly well connected. And so that gym talked to the other gym, and then that gym sort of was talking about Whole30 with their other gym. And all of this is happening mostly through the CrossFit forum. And the requests really started pouring in. CrossFit gyms, we traveled to CrossFit gyms almost every single weekend for a whole maybe year, if not two, talking to people about the Whole30. And CrossFit was, I think, pretty on brand with the way I was talking about the Whole30, which was very like, it's going to be hard, but you can do hard things and you've done harder things than this. And so that mentality with the way that I was talking about the program at the time, I think was a really great fit. And then of course, people who are super into health and fitness got amazing results. So they wanted to tell their friends, and it grew largely via word of mouth.
Yeah. And then that leads to the book, which blows it up. And that eventually it just expanded way beyond the scope of CrossFit. And was it mostly by word of mouth, do you think?
It was via word of mouth. I remember I was pregnant, so it would have been late 2012. And we went to a CrossFit gym in Philadelphia to give this presentation, and there were 150 people in the room. And during a break, I looked around and I thought, there are people my parents' age in this gym. And mostly at these seminars, they were young and they were fit and they were athletic. And I'm seeing a lot of people who maybe don't look like they do CrossFit, like they weren't in the CrossFit gear, and they were just people like my parents. And so I started walking around like, oh, how are you here? How did you hear about it? And it was, oh, my son told me I had to come, or my daughter called me from Connecticut and said, you should come listen to this. I think you would really benefit from this information. And so that was where I realized we were starting to expand beyond CrossFit. And over the course of the next few years, we just continued to grow via the books and media coverage. But in the beginning, it was all word of mouth.
When did you decide to quit your job to go all in?
It was April 2010. So I had done my first Whole30, that 2-person Whole30, a year ago. And I was doing my 9-to-5 hustle. I had worked there for 10 years, worked my way up. I managed 20 plus people in 3 different offices. I was good at my job, but I was doing Whole30 stuff on the side. So nights and weekends, I'm writing blog posts, I'm traveling for seminars, I'm building materials. And at some point I said, something's got to give. I was doing both kind of poorly at this point, and my heart was really in Whole30. And so it was like, you're either going to jump and do this and see what happens, or it's just going to sort of limp along. And that didn't feel right to me. So I waited. I had a retention bonus, I remember, and I waited until I met that bonus. And then I gave my notice, and I used that bonus as kind of the seed money to get going with Whole30.
Awesome.